Create, play, love. Hello, beautiful people. It is Jess DeBose, and I am your Breakup to Breakthrough coach. And we are going to be going live here in just a second with the beautiful Rachelle. Just waiting for her to hop on. I'm so excited. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, beautiful people. Oh, I'm on a bouncy ball. That's probably an interesting thing for this interview. Rachelle, where are you? Hello, beautiful people. So excited. There's Rachelle. Yay!
Let's see if it works. There she is!
Hello!
Hello!
Good morning, gorgeous human.
Hello.
I had every intention of doing this for my my beautifully created space inside, and then all the children are watching TV, and that's all I can hear. So I'm like, okay, quick, let's run outside. Make the most of the sun. I'm so excited to
Yay!
get to talk to you today.
Me too. Oh, look at this.
It's the
There's
night
so
for
much.
you, isn't it?
It is the night. It is 7 p.m. for me currently.
Gorgeous. What has been the most
Well,
inspirational thing that's
introduce
come out of
yourself
your day
first.
today? Okay. I am so lucky. My name's Rachelle Rakuraku, and I have had the absolute honor of knowing Jess. How long would it be, Jess? Like a year or maybe a bit
A few
less.
months
6 months.
since November.
Is it really? Is it 5 months then? Like it just feels like a lifetime because she's so gorgeous. You'll see as the interview progresses. And we made a beautiful contact. Learning, doing a course around our coaching and inspiring ourselves into our best versions, and getting ourselves out there to help the beautiful people with the skills that we have. And we had a beautiful connection, so we've been talking once a week and really connecting in, and it's been my greatest pleasure to be able to share my life with Jess and share Jess's life. So I'm excited to be able to interview her because I there's so many things there's so many layers to her amazing self that it's beautiful to be able to first find out for myself, but allow others to witness them too. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Tell everybody what you do, so that if they're tuning in for the first time, they can understand the context of which we're talking.
Yeah, I am a breakup to breakthrough coach, and I help people move through their breakup period so they can experience clarity and joy in their lives.
And I think this is probably one of the reasons why Jess and I connected so much, because during that time I actually separated from my husband, and just her tools that come out were and that have helped me through that. Even though she hasn't, it wasn't like a purposeful thing, but the tools that she has brought and the way that she views that has definitely helped expand my experience through that into one of joy. So I'm really grateful for everything that you are, Jess, and all the magic you bring in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So it's nighttime for you. So what has inspired you most today?
What has inspired me most? Well, I am part of this beautiful community. There's a coaching program called Kaboom, and right now I have the privilege of coaching a group of coaches who are learning the business side of coaching, and they have inspired the shit out of me today, and I'm just so proud of them. And some of them are watching right now, and I just feel so loved and supported, and I'm just super proud of them, and they're so inspiring.
That's awesome. I love it. It's amazing when you get a herd of people around you that are striving for their best. Like what that inspires within is amazing. It must be it must be beautiful to be able to help them travel the journey that you traveled.
Yes, it is because I didn't do it that long ago. So like it's just like, oh, I'm just a little bit ahead, so let me give you some of the things that like I wish I would have known when I was going on that journey like a month ago.
Yeah. It's I think that what you've just said is a beautiful reminder of that. You know, you don't have to be, you know, you just have to be a little bit ahead to be able to help people. It's not like um, you don't have to have years and years of experience, although they're gorgeous as well. But um, it's how you show up that inspires people. What do you think? What value of yours do you think helps you the most in guiding them to through their journey, their unique journey?
Growth. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you know anything about me, you will know that I love Brene Brown and all of the work that she does. And she is, if you're not familiar with who she is, she's a author and researcher, and she researches things like shame and belonging. And I, in the last, maybe about 6 months ago, I was reading her newest book, Dare to Lead. And in there, she has an exercise to go through um, discovering like what your values are. And she's like, you have to pick two. You can only have two. And, yeah, it was so hard because this list is like a page with like 4 columns on it of different values, and you can always add to it. But I actually have one. I narrowed it down to one, and my highest value is growth. And if you get in my space, you will grow. There's nothing, like, I was just trying to explain this to someone earlier because it sounds a little cocky and it might come across that way, and I don't even care. But, like, I am always growing. So if you haven't talked to me in a month, I'm probably doing something very different than a month ago. And I'm just always growing. And then anyone who's in my space, in my vortex while that's happening, it will rub off on you and you will grow also. I just can't help but bring people into that growth process. So to,
Beautiful.
I think your question was my value. So growth.
I love that, and I love that because it not only shows like how inspiring you are to others and inspiring them forward into their growth, but how that's such an integral part of your life. What would you say to 10 years ago, Jess, that 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 would inspire her to grow into this gorgeous human that I see before you today?
Oh,
Today.
chill the fuck out. Not everything is so serious. Oh, I was so serious all the time. Everything was so serious. And even though I love to play, like, I was such a rule follower that, like, everything children.
I'm sorry, my internet froze, so I heard everything had to be done a certain, and it was so serious. And then after that, it was the
Oh,
rest is for
okay.
everybody else to hear and not myself. Um, so I'm gonna go off my next question out of seriousness. So if it's totally disjointed based on what you said just a moment ago, I apologize to the audience. But it's how do you you touched on everything being serious, and like the Jess that I know is full of joy and fun and play. What was it, do you think, that inspired you into that space? What was the turning point for you that made you go, oh, hold on, this is where it's at. This fun space is where it's at.
Oh, there's lots of different touch points. I like can see a bunch of memories because it wasn't just all at once like a turning point. It was a gradual thing. But I think someone who significantly helped me in that space actually is my ex-husband. Um, he helped me start to reframe my life a lot, and I'm incredibly grateful for him for that.
How exciting. I love that. I love that you touched on that too, because it's for me and my knowing of you, I feel like the ending of the relationship with him is created a lot of beauty for you. There's a lot of growth in that for you as an individual. Um, what would you say? What would you say would be like how has that made you grow?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's like, what are my options? Right? I could sit in the despair of the failing of my relationship and throw a pity party for myself and just live in victimhood and despair for the rest of my life, or I could choose to grow. Like that's how I felt in that moment. Is like, well, I as like I will say this all the time, like create the life that you want to live. It has taken me a long time to get to that space to be able to say that, but I think I was starting to get to that space because actually when we separated, I was halfway across the world. He was in the United States and I was in South Korea. And so I was already creating my life. Like I have done that in certain ways, but in other ways I just wasn't. And so like the end of that relationship was so excruciatingly painful, and it was like the most important thing that ever happened to me because I actually didn't love myself, and then I started this beautiful journey of learning to love myself, and that has changed everything for me.
Amazing. It's such a pivotal moment when in life, and I'm saying this out of my own personal experience, where that pain and the choice, the powerful choice you've made, and you touched on and you spoke about, but really feel like I need to highlight it, is is that I have a choice in this moment. I'm feeling this way, and it's not feeling good, and so now I have a choice on whether I want to stay feeling this way or I'm going to do something about it.
Hmm.
Which is where you come in so much in people's lives, because it's very easy to jump on that pity, poor me bandwagon. And it's very interesting the reactions of people around, in my experience, the reactions of people around me in my breakup was the expectation that I should be in that pity space. Whereas for me, it was very similar to yours in that I recognize that pain is a choice, really. What other
Well,
areas? Where is? No, yeah,
I would
please.
I would offer that not just pain, because pain is going to happen, but the suffering is the choice, right? So like we will, like, as humans, we're going to experience pain. That's part of who we are and how we are and the way that life rolls. And you can't really experience amazing joy without the sorrow and the pain too. So like you need both to be a
Yeah,
dynamic human, but that choice lies in the suffering. So I can choose to suffer and stay in that space, or I can choose something different.
I love that. I love that because such it is so true and so powerful. Um, because yeah, we're all human, so we don't get out of the human experience, and it's that juxtaposition, that like opposite, that makes you really experience, allows you the ability to see how great the joy is because you've experienced such a low, if for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
Is there anywhere else in your life that you feel like there was a moment that of failure that has inspired you into your greatness?
Okay. So there's one thing I actually don't view anything as a failure anymore. I view them as learning experiences. So that is
Yeah,
one thing. So to even frame a failure is like my brain almost short circuited because I was like, there's no such thing.
beautiful.
Um, but then the other thing that popped into my head, and I don't know, whatever, I'm just going to share the story anyways because it was something that I shared with someone earlier today. It's something that happened when I was 10 years old. I if you really knew me, you would know that from an early age, I was a perfectionist and very good at school. Um, so the first and only F I got devastated me. And the hilarious thing about it now is like it was in music class, um, which is hilarious because my degree is in music education. So I got an F in music class when I was 10, but it was not, it was a quiz that had two questions on it and I got one wrong. So I got a 50%. And I had a meltdown and cried and cried and cried. And I can see the journey that I have taken since then from my perfectionist self. And I've had very key people in my life that helped me see the difference between perfection and wholeness. Like, perfection is not attainable, perfection doesn't exist. Like, we are already perfect, whole, and complete. And so, leaning into that space of like being whole instead of striving for perfection on this unattainable goal that I had for myself was this major shift in myself. And so if my failure of like leaning into perfectionism so hard that I was always so incredibly hard on myself, especially my self-talk. I talked terribly to myself. My self-talk was horrible. I would call myself stupid all the time. And so as I've shifted that, that has been the key into moving toward the space that I am now. Um, yeah, I can, there's lots of stories with that, but yes, learning how to talk kindly to myself has been super significant in that journey.
It's a very significant thing in any journey, I think, is that realization that actually for me in my journey into coaching actually is it was me beating myself up so much and having somebody reflect back to me the exact opposite of what I was thinking I was completely impatient and just this horrible mother. And my girlfriend said to me, but you're the most patient person I've ever known. And I'm like, what? And it was that led me on this, hold on a second, maybe I'm wrong on the inside of my head if everybody else is telling me that I'm patient and kind and loving, and I'm in here going, "You absolute bitch! I can't believe you did that." Then maybe I can look at the fact that I'm wrong and not everybody else is.
Yes, that's
it's
beautiful.
it's 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 a beautiful journey to be on. It's funny that you mentioned a childhood a 10-year-old story, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is what social group were you in school?
What social group? All of them?
Yeah,
You mean social group like as in the popular kids or are you talking
stereotypical.
about the activities?
Yeah, like with the stereo. So obviously you enjoyed a lot of activities, but it's
So I went to a really small school. Um, it was still a public school, but I graduated with a class of 55. So going from kindergarten to 12th grade with the same, basically same 55 people, it makes it hard to have those types of groups.
yeah.
So I feel like my school didn't have, um, I mean, we had some, but we were still like this weird family also. Um, so, but my group of friends, like, I guess they were the theater crowd, the theater music band geek crowd.
That's beautiful. I love
Hmm.
it. Now, in your story before, from you when you were in 10 years old and you received your F, it's interesting that your journey then was to go into a degree in music. Do you think if you hadn't got that F, you would have got there? You would have gone to that same path?
That's really interesting. I've never thought about it before because I never really equated that story with going into music because I actually struggled really hard with deciding on a major. I had a lot of different ideas of what things that I liked to do. I have always wanted to be a teacher. That was kind of part of my heart. But I was thinking of going into teaching. I was also thinking of going into worship ministry because I come from a very Christian background. And I was thinking about even like video editing, like Pixar stuff, or like I had all these different ideas, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Um, but I did. My music teacher was in elementary school was a significant, I think, player in helping me understand how much I really did like music. And when um, I think she even encouraged me to join band, um, which is something I did as a fifth grader in 10. I was 10. Was that the same year? That would be really hilarious. Um, I don't know. I made up the number 10. It could have been earlier. I don't actually know how old I was when I got my F, but I do know that I started playing flute when I was 10. And so joining band, I had a really good first band director. I think that also significantly helped me in my journey toward being in music education because like I said, I've always loved the idea of being a teacher, like helping people find that space of like the light bulb going off, that aha moment is my favorite thing in the world. And I thought the only way to do that was as a teacher, and I happen to really like music. I also happen to really like math. So those are two kind of directions I was thinking about going into as well. But music leads for more creativity than math does. So I think that's why I leaned in that direction.
I love that there is a random car in my street playing loud music just at your reference to your love of music. It's fabulous. And like perfect because we live in like a tiny cul-de-sac and I've never had anyone blaring music down my street ever before in my entire life. So the timing is
That's
impeccable.
amazing.
What I love the most and why I ask that question is because so often I find in working with clients that you can pinpoint like a shift in their life which has changed things. So which is why I was like interesting that you've spent your whole life getting very good results and then this one failure has gone, hold on, I need to prove that I am not a failure in music and I will grow in that area. And
That probably
whether
had something to do with it.
yeah, and it wouldn't be a conscious effort. It wouldn't be a conscious thought. It's usually an unconscious thing. But when you actually take a zoom out on your life, you're like, oh, okay, hold on a second. That's very interesting how I got there.
And I'm stubborn as fuck, so that makes sense.
But we all do it. We all it's how our lives are shaped.
Yeah.
Which is another question. It's because teaching and inspiring people is obviously your jam. It's something that lights you up. Like you can even see on your face when I say it to you, your cheeks have lit up and your smile is radiant. So, who do you think were the three top most inspiring people in your life that have led you to this love of inspiring greatness in others?
Three. Okay. My English teacher. Shout out to Mrs. Lumley. Um, Actually, she's my friend, so I'm supposed to call her Lynn, which still feels weird to this day. But Mrs. Lumley was my English teacher for ninth grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade English. And because I went to a really tiny school, I imagine our school structures are a little different, so I apologize if you don't know what this means, but we only had two AP classes available to us. So that's like an advanced placement geared toward college kind of classes.
Yep.
And being the high academic person that I wanted to at least take one of them. But unfortunately, they were in my two least favorite subjects. So English being one of them, and biology. And I wasn't going to take the biology because the teacher I hated that class. And I don't care for biology at all. Like, I'm not So I went into her AP English class, and I I thought I was gonna quit that class the first week. Because she, and I learned this later, like I learned that it was very much a tact that she had done on purpose. Was like she wanted to get rid of the people who weren't serious about being in her class. So she was super strict and very forward with the expectations the first week of class. And so I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. I have to write how many papers? How much, like, how much do I have to do? Oh, no, no, I can't do any of this. So I almost quit. But she, oh, that woman is amazing. I would sit in her class and I would sit in her classroom during study hall and pour my heart out to her about my parents' divorce and the stuff that was going on in my family. And she like held space with me and would just let me cry or would just give me a space to be in and do my homework or whatever I needed. And I still appreciate that woman. So that's one of them.
It's so interesting that this woman's had such a huge influence on your life, and your career path now is that you hold space for women and allow them to cry and go through what they do. I feel like this moment had more of an influence on you than you even realized at the time.
Well, and it's so significant too, because like I hated English, like I told you, and I've always not identified as a writer, and I write all, first of all. I actually am very much a writer. And um also like I taught English in South Korea for a year. Not something I ever thought I would do. And she
That's
played a significant role in that. And that is really so funny that my career path has like led me to the things that she opened up my door to, like teaching, holding space for people, like listening, and just yeah, so good.
amazing. It's amazing how our world is shaped by these moments. Like it's beautiful. So what are your two others? Because I'm sure that'll reveal to people more of your values.